organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on this live Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV, Drinking Ordinance. We find out about some possible changes to the rules for underage drinking here in Iowa City. In Shakespearean fun, find out what the University of Iowa Library is doing to get people excited about the prolific playwright.
And in sports, we had a lot of close games this past weekend, and the Hawkeyes ended up with more losses than wins.
Get ready for all of the latest news. You're watching Daily Iowan TV. Good morning, Iowa City. Welcome to our Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Nikki Crossway. It was a turbulent weekend here for Hawkeye sports. So before I get into the latest in local and national news, let's get a full recap from Ashlyn Bauer in the sports studio. Ashlyn?
Thanks, Nikki. The Hawks have had better weekends, but one team this weekend came away with all wins. Iowa Volleyball won their own Iowa Invitational, and we have your weekend rundown starting with Aaron Erickson at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Thanks, Colin and Ashlyn. Well, the Hawks finished off an impressive weekend here on Saturday night against South Dakota State, finishing off South Dakota State in 3 sets. Here's what Coach Szymanski had to say after the game.
But tonight was really clean volleyball for us, and we talk about our ability to execute well, first, second, and third contact. And you can get hung up sometimes on how hard do we do with the ball, what do we do with the ball as attackers. But when you're passing and setting, serving, all those things are functioning well. That creates a lot of good offensive opportunities.
This Friday, the Hawks go on the road to face Michigan and Michigan State in their first Big Ten competition. From inside Carver Hawkeye Arena, this has been Aaron Erickson with Daily Iowan TV Sports. Let's toss it over to John at field hockey. John?
Thanks, Aaron. The Iowa women's field hockey team suffered a heartbreaker on Friday afternoon, but bounced back nicely on Sunday to claim a 4-1 victory over the Ball State Cardinals.
Ready up, ready up!
With games like this, and really any game, it's just when's the first one going to fall in, you know, and we just want that first goal to go in because that kind of opens the door for the rest of the goals that follow.
Playing Penn State kind of gave us, I think, a reality check, and so we know what to expect from Maryland and Rutgers this coming weekend.
The Hawks are back in action when they welcome Maryland this upcoming Friday. For more on the Iowa women's soccer team, let's send it down to Liv, who's at the Iowa Soccer Complex. Liv?
Thanks, guys. Although a low-scoring game and a tough loss, there wasn't one dull moment here at Grant Field as Iowa Hawkeyes took on Michigan State. With a slow first half, Iowa came back strong in the second with 19 total shots on goal. With no score at the end of regulation, the Hawkeyes went into overtime and lost the battle due to a penalty kick from the Spartans.
After a tough loss, especially on a PK, you just take it, and that's a game of soccer. So you can play and you can outpossess and you can play really well, but at the end of the day, the game of soccer it's a love-hate relationship. We're just ready to take back what we should have taken here, so I think that'll just add fuel to our fire.
Well, that's all we have for the weekend rundown. Back to you in the sports studio.
Thanks, guys. Other sports going on for Iowa athletics included the Iowa tennis team, who sent 2 people to the Valpo Fall Invitational. Tony Lito placed first in Flight C, and the double of Lito and Jason Kirst fell to Valparaiso, and they ended up in second place. Iowa football did not get the outcome they wanted this weekend. They lost to North Dakota State University 23-21. Losing by a last-second field goal, to say this was a disappointing loss is an understatement. Reporter Mary Kate Heroin has the story.
The North Dakota State Bison took control of the game right from the beginning on Saturday with a 21-yard touchdown off an interception. The Hawkeyes answered back early in the second quarter with a 30-yard touchdown pass from Beathard to McCarron. Although it was a back-and-forth game atmosphere, both the Hawkeyes' offense and defense did not play the way they were expected to.
It's incredibly frustrating because it's just not the football team that we are, but that's what we put on the field today. No, execution, like I said earlier, we got to be able to, sustain some drives and move the ball more than that. I think we had 240 yards today. We didn't get our running game going. So it's us as a whole as an offense. We need to get back into the film room and on the practice field and fix some stuff.
I mean, they like to run it down your throat, and we didn't come up today, and we didn't fill the holes like we need to.
It's not only what the Hawkeyes didn't do on Saturday, but it's what the North Dakota State Bison did do. This is their 6th straight win against an FBS team, and even the Hawkeyes didn't underestimate them.
We didn't overlook them coming in. They're a very good team. We've known this since we've seen them on our schedule, like last year. Whenever the schedule came out, we know that they were going to be a good team. We know that they come to hit, they come to play every game.
Now it's all about looking at what the Hawkeyes can improve on from this loss for the rest of their season.
We got to let this sting for a little bit. This is a little reality check for us right now, and it should sting, and it will for a couple of days. But we need to bounce back, and tomorrow we'll start thinking about next week.
The Hawkeyes are back in action this Saturday for their first away game at Rutgers. For Hawkeye football, this has been Mary Kate Harrion, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
After seeing a big improvement in the defense from week 1 to week 2, their performance on Saturday was surprising. Katie Sextro took a closer look to find out what happened to this D-line.
It was an upset in Iowa City on Saturday, and the game marked Iowa's first loss in Kinnick Stadium since 2014. But this is not the team that we saw last weekend. And as for Iowa's defense, they played extremely well in the first half. But come second half, fatigue kicked in, and North Dakota State's offense stepped up.
We've really played clean football, sharp football in our first 2 games. That was not the case today, and those costly errors, those little detail things that we didn't do well today ended up catching us at the end and, made a big difference. And, the lesson there is if you do that against a good football team, you're typically going to pay for it, and that was what happened today.
The Iowa defense allowed the Bison 239 rushing yards and 23 total points. And their main goal for the game? Not allow more than 21. So what went wrong?
This offensive line was bigger, obviously, than our first 2 opponents. Very disciplined. Very disciplined group of guys. Who just gave effort every single snap.
We just needed to execute. We have our defense, and people need to be in certain spots and certain plays, and we just weren't there in certain plays. We just didn't execute there at the end when we needed to, and down the road we need to execute if we're going to win big games.
Just communication issues, and then just fit issues. So we need to look at the film this coming week, here tomorrow, and we need to move on from it.
With Big Ten play right around the corner, this Iowa defense knows that there is no room for mistakes in the coming weeks. Reporting from Kinnick Stadium, this is Katie Sextro, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Like Katie said earlier, North Dakota State rushed for 239 yards on Saturday, while the Hawkeyes ran a total of only 34. Tomorrow we'll have more on why this Iowa offense struggled so much. That's all we have for you in the sports studio. Back to you at the desk.
It takes an army to enforce the 21 and over ordinance when it comes to alcohol consumption here in Iowa City. But could some local Iowa City establishments be getting away with serving underage drinkers and even getting let off with a reduced penalty? Daily Iowan TV's Bradley Martin has the story.
City Hall is having a dialogue to lessen the repercussions for restaurants that serve minors in the Iowa City area. Although the under 21 ordinance dictates that anyone below the age of 21 must leave a bar, restaurants have an exception clause. And that's why the city tonight is evaluating how to make it more fair when restaurants are caught violating and serving minors.
If a business fails 2 or more compliance checks within a 5-year period under the current ordinance, then they lose that exception certificate for the remainder of that 5-year period.
While the exception certificate allows the establishment to have those that are underage in past 10 p.m., undercover sting operations are done by the Iowa City Police Department, where a minor goes in and tries to get alcohol to test the compliance.
Some businesses might experience a nearly 5-year penalty, while others only experience a 1-year penalty.
And that's part of the change. City Council wants to make sure they're not hurting those establishments, like the local bowling alley where minors should be past 10 p.m. They're loosening up on the ramifications from underage drinking in other Iowa City establishments. The bars will stay the same. Be careful out there. Hawkeyes reporting Tonight from downtown Iowa City, Bradley Martin, Daily Iowan TV.
A devastating explosion rocked the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan this past Sunday. The explosion was said to be caused by a homemade bomb found underneath a dumpster. 29 people sustained injuries as a result, but no deaths have been reported so far. A second explosive device was found nearby about 3 hours after the attack and was quickly removed by a bomb squad. Many concerns were raised about this being a potential act of terrorism, but there are currently no known links between the attack and any terrorist organizations. The New York City Police Department is looking for Ahmed Khan Rahami as a potential suspect in the bombing. Iowa City officials announced their plans for the improvement of several city parks. City Parks and Recreation Director Julie Johnson proposed major plans. One for the Eastside Sports Complex, which would be located on Taft Road. Another for Lower City Park will have the most expensive budget for upkeep of the amusement rides. And another for Hickory Hill Park, which has the least expensive plan that has already been funded. The city decided to add secondary trails to improve bridges as well as signage in the parks, and also to have bike parking and beautification of the landscape. The city expects it to be at least 5 years for this plan to be implemented. The weather lately has definitely been ideal for a trip to the park, and I, for one, am hoping that trend can continue. For more, we've got Becca Skadden standing by in the weather studio with a breakdown of the whole week. Becca?
Hi, Nikki. That's right. It's been pretty chilly the past couple days, but it's warming up this week. Happy Monday, Hawkeyes. High temperatures are coming your way this week. Today we're looking at temperatures around 70 degrees with cloudy skies. Tonight we have a 40% chance of thunderstorms with temperatures around 79 degrees. Tuesday mornings cooling off with temperatures in the low 60s and sunny skies. Looking ahead at the rest of our week. Sunny skies will continue throughout the day tomorrow. Wednesday, temperatures will hang around the same as Tuesday with a high of 88 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Showers are in the forecast as we close out our week. Thursday and Friday, highs will be in the mid-80s with a 50% chance of thunderstorms. Saturday, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with a high of 82 degrees. Stay dry this week, Hawkeyes. Nikki, back to you.
Around 9:30 a.m. Sunday morning, police found a body in the upper Iowa River. 21-year-old Bjorn Noderhog was found after he had been reported missing for more than a day. Noderhog's friends had not seen or heard from him since about 2 a.m. Saturday morning. Prior to his death, he was last seen in Decorah at the Corner Bar, nearly 2 miles away from Luther College, where he had been studying computer science. 2 Iowa City men have been charged for dealing marijuana. Police carried out a search warrant on East Washington Street, where 19-year-old Lucas H. Froschner and 19-year-old Jared J. Cuds reside. At the residence, they found smoking devices and 0.7 pounds of marijuana. Police said Cuds attempted to flush several ounces of the drug down a basement toilet. Cuds admitted to selling marijuana out of the house and took ownership of the drug during the search. Froschner said he was a middleman for his roommate when he described the operation to police. Both men face multiple Class C felony charges. University of Iowa Emergency Medical Service Training will be reaching out to help firefighters in Cedar Rapids. The UI Emergency Simulator Lab will be at the Central Fire Station to train firefighters. The simulator lab is treated as if it's a real emergency room to prepare better for an actual urgent situation. The simulator training has been incredibly beneficial to firefighters in the past, and they will be able to train with this high technology system all this week.
It is such a perfect day for a festival like this, and the variety of activities has been just perfect. The kids have been able to make paper, print on a printing press. They've been able to bind a little book and have calligraphy written, and there's fencers and actors, and perfect weather for all of it.
That's all we have for you this morning on Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the biggest news between now and Friday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Nikki Crossway. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day, Iowa City.